Oh, speaking of dum-dums, let's do Ben Shapiro. When you get to be as old as I am, and you've been doing this long enough, it all becomes retreads. It's just you plug in something new. Woke is now like the 15th iteration of, politically incorrect or political correctness run amok. And prior to that, it was, whatever it was, feminazis, it goes on and on. Here's Ben Shapiro dusting off Ann Coulter. I was wondering about her. Is she still around? Is she still alive? But here's Ann Coulter wrote a book where government was a religion for liberals. Here is Ben Shapiro with his iteration.
Good times. Good times. Again, the elites are not bound by the rules. But that's the whole point. For the left, COVID has basically become a pagan god. And if you appease the pagan god by pushing mask mandates, you can do whatever you want. You have bought yourself an indulgence. If you believe in government top-down control, you don't have to wear a mask. If you believe in government top-down control, you can come vacation in Florida. If you believe in government top-down control and lockdowns, then you get to be as reckless as you want to be, and no one will ever blame you because you have come out and you have said all of the right things. In the media, by the way, they're mirroring this perspective. Mehdi Hasan, the terrible host on MSNBC, he yesterday was saying we need harsher measures on COVID. Of course, of course, of course.
I don't even follow exactly what he's saying there. He's saying that science doesn't exist, that wearing a mask, presumably indoors, in crowded areas, is simply a way in which you bring a offering to the god of COVID, and they will be nice to you. I mean,
it's a little odd. Like, I mean, for him to be criticizing wearing like a certain piece of cloth.
Well, yeah. Meanwhile, this guy wears a yarmulke on his head to a non-existent, non-pagan god, which incidentally, I got news for you. It's just the only difference between a pagan god and a non-pagan god is one's invisible, and that's how you know it's there.
Yeah, well, if you say pagan, it sounds like very scary.
Yeah, they haven't developed things. You actually think you could have a representation of God, but God is so great that you can't have a representation. But God does pay attention to the hat on my head.
When's the last time a pagan god racked up a body count of 800,000 people in a country?
Wait, and the best part too is like, why, COVID is just about as pagan as God, as Yahweh. I mean, it's not like we could see COVID, right? I mean, there's actually more evidence of COVID being around. But it also basically is mask denialism. I mean, look, do masks, we know that their efficacy is somewhere between 10 and 40%, depending on how long, maybe 50%, less likely to get it. Maybe it's only 10%. Function of the quality of the mask, the viral load of the person you're in the room with, if they're wearing a mask, et cetera, et cetera. But we know it diminishes your chances. And from the very beginning, it has always been Swiss cheese defense. You keep lining up different pieces of Swiss cheese, sort of like the way they polarize glasses, and you diminish the number of opportunities it has to get to you. But this is, they are so desperate to turn this into a culture war, as opposed to, and look, people are going to react differently to a pandemic. But the idea that you're going to attack, my son, I said to Saul, who just got his second vax, I said, dude, you don't have to wear your mask outside. I mean, I've actually told him this before, even that, because the evidence is very, very, very difficult to catch COVID outside unless you're in very, very close quarters outside with somebody who has COVID. And if you're a kid, I would imagine it's even less. He doesn't feel comfortable doing it. Okay. I could mock him mercilessly for it, but if he feels comfortable, and if he feels comfortable after getting vaxxed twice to take his mask off outside, that's fine. Eventually, we're not going to be wearing masks outside. At one point, I don't know when that's going to be. If you're a kid at school, and it'll take care of itself. But to basically be anti-science, which is that the masks are effective, they're not 100% effective, they're not even maybe 50% effective. They shouldn't be your only tool. but there is no one silver bullet. And the fact that there isn't, I think.
But that's the threshold they like hold it to, right? In order to be mass denialists.
Of course.
And you can't like unlike the yarmulke, you can quantify the efficacy of masks. So if we're talking about cloth offerings to gods, I'm pretty sure masks have a bit of a leg up in terms of the specific data that you can use to quantify the usage of it.